Right now, it's time for some social media questions. You can follow The Minimalists on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at The Minimalists. Alabama, we got a question from Facebook.
Victor asks, how do I minimize my old journals, sketch pads, notebooks, pens, and pencils? I've tried so many times and I just can't let them go. Help.
Help!
Just send them to me. I'll take care of them for you.
I got this one, guys. Victor, what is the sound of one hand clapping?
Ryan can show you.
It's not very loud.
I feel like you are a little too prepared for that.
I'm stealing that from The Simpsons. That's Bart Simpson.
It kind of sounds like Ryan's masturbating into the mic.
I feel like Ryan read a book of koans, saw that one, and just like spent an hour figuring out how to solve
I've been waiting to use that for like 25 years since I saw that Simpsons episode.
Victor, I got something pithy for you. We call these minimal maxims. We put them in the show notes while Podcast Sean tweezes them out. theminimalists.com/podcast to find the show notes to all of our episodes. The only way to let go is to stop clinging.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I wanted to talk to you about today, because we're talking about letting go, but really the only way to do it is to stop clinging.
You remember when he deleted all my notes?
What? I thought it was letting go, not deleting other people's stuff.
No, well, it's funny.
He still won't let this go.
No, I had like, I don't know, essay ideas, song lyrics, jokes. I don't know, like all these ideas that I was clearly clinging on to because I had, 42 separate notes that.
Wow.
Well, it was kind of what we were talking about at the first question. Like, I didn't really even know they were there until I started going through them. I'm like, oh yeah, one day I'm going to use this, So Josh, and his, benevolent self was like, hey man, I'm going to show you how to get your notes on iCloud. So he, long story short, deleted all my notes and got me on iCloud. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. But at first I was like, I had this twinge of like, no, like, I know there's like at least... there's like 42. My brain is like, there's at least 3 of those things I know I wanted.
It reminds me last time that I upgraded my computer.
Yeah.
The one that was available, you ordered it for me. It didn't have enough hard drive space.
Right.
And that was an exercise for me in letting go, because I tried to do the whole transfer, and it was like an hour in. It was like, oh, this hard drive's full and it can't transfer everything.
You would think the software would be able to read that at first.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I get to this point and it's just like, so you can choose to exit and basically go back to the factory settings. So I just started with factory settings.
Wow.
And I didn't bring anything over. Not a thing from my previous computer. Not an essay, no photos. Nothing was brought over from the previous device. And it was so freeing. It was, as you said, terrifying at first, because it's like, oh no, wait. But then I realized something that was really important. Everything, well, here's a better way to put it. You strangle everything that you cling to. And I would even say that you strangle everyone that you cling to as well. So this doesn't just apply to stuff, but you strangle everything that you're clinging to. If you're holding on to a bunch of stuff, including these sketch pads and notebooks and pens and old journals and pencils, whatever you're holding on to, you start to strangle. You strangle the usefulness out of them. You strangle the creativity out of your own life. Wow. And if you're doing this with a person in your life, a lover, a friend, etc., you're clinging to them. You're strangling the vitality out of the relationship.
When you cling all the time, you're a walking true crime.
Don't tweet that podcast, Sean. Oh man, the closest thing I have to this is my old calculus notes. You remember how hard we worked in our calculus course, Josh?
I remember how hard I worked.
Dude, we worked really hard. Like learning the quadratic formula and the flip it and forget it and like all the different... and I had all these notes, and I love math. That's the thing. Like I really enjoy understanding like the nuance. So I'm holding on to these notes thinking that one day I'm going to need these in case I'm interested in going back and looking at the nuance of calculus, like not even considering the fact that I could just look it up online. But regardless, I thought about scanning them. and then I'm like, what am I doing, man? I'm getting rid of these. So if you're holding on to all your journals and all, like, why are you holding on to this? because you're trying to preserve something, then great, you can preserve it. You don't have to scan it yourself. There are companies you can pay to scan it for you, and they'll get rid of your notes for you. So you don't even have to get those journals back. They'll just send you scanned pages of it. Yeah. And that's really where, if this is causing Victor some stress, that's really where he's got to look at, like, all right, what are these journals, pencils, pens, so forth and so on? What are these doing for me? Are they causing you joy or are they causing you stress? Sounds like they're causing you stress. So now the next thing is like, all right, so how are you going to get rid of this stress? You look into scanning it. Maybe you look at it, you're like, that's too much money. I'm not willing to spend that money on it. Well, then you're probably not willing to hold on to your notebooks then.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So sometimes in the comments, people react to these kinds of ideas by saying, you guys are trying to make me throw away my stuff, right? Because we give a lot of arguments for why you ought to question this and why you should reconsider that. And then people go to defending their right to hang on to things. Well, I'm going to keep this because it brings me joy in this way and it brings me joy in that way. And the thing I want people to understand is we are not fighting to get you to give away anything that you want to keep. We're fighting for you to fight for the things that you want to keep by actually using them, by actually utilizing them in a way that brings you the joy you say they have the potential to bring. What's deadly is not hanging on to something. What's deadly is telling yourself a story about how something brings you joy and then betraying that very story by burying it in a coffin, never looking at it again until it's time to move and you got to pay a couple of $100s for some extra cubic feet. That's no way to live. If you want the stuff, keep the stuff. But if you're going to keep the stuff, fight to use it for the reasons that reflect that joy you felt when you bought it.
Did you enjoy this standalone Patreon highlight? If so, you can listen to full episodes of The Minimalists' private podcast available exclusively on Patreon. Visit patreon.com/theminimalists or click the link in the description. Your support keeps our podcast and YouTube channel 100% advertisement free.